Today we'll explore the often gritty reality behind these establishments, delving into the lives of the women who worked there, the madams who ran them, and the social impact they had on the frontier society. Number 1. The life of a saloon girl. Saloon girls in the Wild West played a multifaceted role that went beyond mere entertainment. Typically, they were young women drawn to the frontier by the promise of adventure and the opportunity to earn a living in a male-dominated society. Life as a saloon girl was grueling, demanding, and often dangerous. They were hired primarily to entertain patrons in saloons, encouraging them to spend more on drinks through dancing, flirting, and conversation. These women usually worked long hours, starting in the early evening and continuing until the saloon closed, often in the early morning. The job required them to maintain a cheerful demeanor despite the often harsh and rowdy environment. They were expected to persuade customers to buy drinks, from which they earned a commission. This task was not easy, as it involved constant social interaction and sometimes dealing with aggressive or inebriated patrons. Saloon girls faced significant financial pressures. They were typically paid a small wage, supplemented by tips and commissions on drink sales. However, they had to pay for their costumes, makeup, and sometimes even lodging. Some saloon girls lived in rooms above the saloons, paying rent to the saloon owner, which further cut into their earnings. Additionally, fines for breaking house rules or failing to meet sales quotas were common, adding to their financial strain. The competition among saloon girls was intense. Many saloons had a rotating staff of girls, and keeping one's job required being both popular with customers and compliant with the saloon's rules. This competitive atmosphere often led to jealousy and conflicts between the women, making it difficult to form lasting friendships. Despite these challenges, some saloon girls managed to save enough money to leave the profession and start anew, often opening businesses or investing in property. For many, however, the saloon represented both their livelihood and a trap from which it was hard to escape. Health and safety were constant concerns. The risk of venereal diseases was high, and access to medical care was limited and expensive. Moreover, the prevalence of alcohol and drugs in saloons led to addiction issues for some saloon girls. Alcohol was readily available, and the constant encouragement to drink with customers could easily lead to dependency. The social stigma attached to saloon girls was significant. They were often looked down upon by the wider community and ostracized from respectable society. Despite this, some gained a measure of fame and respect within the saloon culture itself, becoming known for their beauty, charm, or singing and dancing talents. Saloon girls contributed to the vibrant, albeit chaotic, social life of the frontier towns. They brought a touch of glamour and excitement to the rough and often lawless world of the Wild West, leaving an indelible mark on the cultural history of the American frontier. Number 2. The role of madams. Madams in the Wild West were pivotal figures who managed brothels with an iron fist, combining business acumen with social savvy. These women, often former prostitutes themselves, accumulated wealth and status by running highly profitable and organized establishments. They were adept at navigating the male-dominated and often lawless environment of the frontier towns, creating safe havens for their employees and lucrative enterprises for themselves. Madams typically selected the women who worked for them, often choosing those who exhibited beauty, charm, and the ability to entertain clients effectively. High-class brothels, known as parlor houses, were elegantly furnished and provided luxurious amenities, such as fine dining, premium alcohol, and live music. The madams of these establishments, like Pearl de Vere and Eleanor Dumas, maintained a veneer of respectability and exclusivity, often charging exorbitant prices for their services. In addition to offering protection, madams managed the financial aspects of the brothel. They took a substantial cut of the earnings, usually split the income from clients and drinks sold. This business model ensured that both the madam and the women under her employ made a steady income. However, the madams also enforced strict rules and disciplined any breaches severely to maintain order and profitability. Madams were also skilled at dealing with law enforcement and the legalities of their trade. They often paid fines, bribes, or taxes to local authorities to keep their businesses running smoothly. This relationship with the law was complex, involving a mix of compliance and strategic manipulation to avoid shutdowns or legal troubles. Socially, madams had to balance their roles as business leaders with the stigma attached to their profession. They often contributed to local charities and participated in community activities to gain a degree of social acceptance. Despite the societal judgment, successful madams garnered respect for their business prowess and the economic benefits their establishments brought to frontier towns. The daily operations of a brothel required the madam to be a shrewd manager, dealing with everything from procuring supplies to handling disputes among clients and employees. They employed bouncers or guards to ensure the safety of their establishments and to deal with unruly patrons. The legacy of madams in the Wild West is a testament to their resilience and ingenuity in a time and place where opportunities for women were severely limited. Their ability to thrive in such a challenging environment speaks volumes about their strength and adaptability. Number 3, economic impact. Brothels in the Wild West were significant economic drivers in frontier towns, contributing to the local economy in various ways. These establishments generated substantial revenue through a combination of services offered primarily from the fees paid by clients for companionship and entertainment and the high prices charged for drinks. The money spent in brothels often circulated back into the community, indirectly supporting other businesses such as saloons, tailor shops, and general stores. Brothels frequently paid fines and bribes to local law enforcement, which, although corrupt, added to the local government's coffers. These payments ensured a level of protection and operational freedom for the madams and their businesses. Additionally, some brothels were taxed officially, contributing to the municipal budget, which was used for public works and infrastructure, indirectly benefiting the wider community. The presence of brothels attracted a significant amount of ancillary business. Many brothels were located near saloons, theaters, and other entertainment venues, creating a hub of economic activity. Customers who visited brothels would often spend money on other local businesses, thus boosting the overall economic vitality of the town. High-end brothels, known as parlor houses, had a considerable economic footprint. They often employed a range of staff beyond the prostitutes, including musicians, cooks, and cleaners, thus providing employment opportunities for others in the community. These establishments would invest in luxury goods, fine furnishings, and imported alcohol, which created additional economic demand and supported local merchants and suppliers. Moreover, the economic impact extended to real estate. Madams, who became wealthy through their businesses, often invested in property, buying land and buildings, and contributing to the real estate market. This investment in property helped in the development and expansion of frontier towns. The economic influence of brothels also had a social dimension. Brothels were sometimes involved in charitable activities, with madams donating to local causes or sponsoring community events, which helped in building a complex relationship with the community. This philanthropy could soften public opinion and provide a semblance of respectability to their enterprises. Number 4, social and cultural influence. Brothels in the Wild West had a significant social and cultural impact, shaping various aspects of frontier society. These establishments were more than just places of business. They played a crucial role in the social dynamics of the time. Brothels were often among the few places in frontier towns where people from different social backgrounds could interact. This interaction included not only the patrons and prostitutes, but also the diverse array of workers employed by the brothels, such as musicians, cooks, and cleaners. This mingling of different social classes and races within the walls of brothels created unique social environments where cultural exchanges occurred more freely than in other parts of society. One of the most notable social influences of brothels was their role in breaking down racial barriers, albeit in limited ways. In areas like Storyville, New Orleans, brothels provided a space where black and white cultures could intersect. Although segregation laws were strictly enforced elsewhere, the racial lines within these establishments were more blurred, allowing for greater cultural exchange and the spread of musical genres like jazz. This cross-cultural interaction played a part in the broader acceptance and popularity of jazz music across America. Madams and their establishments often held significant social sway within their communities. Many madams, such as Belle Breezing and Diamond Bessie, became local celebrities, known not only for their business acumen, but also for their contributions to the community. They often donated to local charities, funded public events, and sometimes even provided financial support to law enforcement and public officials. This philanthropy helped to build a complex relationship with the community, where brothels, despite their controversial nature, were seen as integral parts of the local economy and social fabric. Brothels also played a role in influencing gender norms and expectations. They provided one of the few economic opportunities available to women in the frontier, allowing some degree of financial independence. While the work was fraught with challenges and dangers, it enabled women to support themselves and, in some cases, accumulate wealth and property. The existence of brothels highlighted the limited opportunities for women and sparked discussions about women's roles in society, ultimately contributing to the early feminist movements. Culturally, brothels contributed to the mythos of the Wild West, immortalizing the image of the saloon girl and the madam in popular culture. These images have been perpetuated in literature, films, and folklore, shaping the modern perception of the American frontier. The allure and mystique of the brothel culture added to the romanticized and often misunderstood narrative of the Wild West. Number 5. Health and safety concerns. Health and safety were significant concerns for women working in brothels in the Wild West. These women, often referred to as soiled doves or painted ladies, faced a multitude of risks that impacted their physical and mental well-being. Venereal diseases were rampant among prostitutes in the Old West. The lack of proper medical knowledge and effective treatments made these diseases particularly dangerous. Commonly contracted infections included syphilis and gonorrhea, which were treated with rudimentary and often harmful methods such as mercury and arsenic compounds. Regular health checks were mandated in some towns, but the enforcement and effectiveness of these measures varied widely. Women were required to obtain clean bills of health to continue working, but these checks were not always thorough, and the stigma attached to the profession often deterred them from seeking proper medical care. Alcohol and drug addiction were prevalent issues among brothel workers. Easy access to alcohol in saloons and brothels led many women to develop dependencies as a way to cope with the harsh realities of their lives. Opium and laudanum, a mixture of opium and alcohol, were also commonly used, sometimes encouraged by madams to keep the women docile and dependent. Addiction further deteriorated their health and made it difficult for them to leave the profession. Violence was another constant threat. Brothels were often located in rough parts of town, where law enforcement presence was minimal or corrupt. Women faced abuse from clients, bouncers, and even other prostitutes. Physical fights were not uncommon, and the lack of legal protection meant that many assaults went unpunished. Some brothels employed guards or bouncers to protect the women, but this security was not always reliable. Mental health issues were pervasive due to the isolation and societal stigma attached to their work. Depression and anxiety were common, exacerbated by the constant threat of violence, the harsh working conditions, and the lack of social support. Suicide rates were notably high among prostitutes, particularly around holidays, when feelings of loneliness and despair were most acute. Living conditions varied widely but were often poor. In lower-end establishments, women lived in cramped, unsanitary quarters with little privacy. Higher-end brothels provided better living conditions, but even these could be far from ideal. The transient nature of their work meant that many women lacked stable housing, further contributing to their precarious lifestyle.